This is all very nice, isn't it? It's Saturday lunchtime, just gone midday, hence I'm allowed a beer. I'm at the Grove Lock pub on the Grand Union Canal, just south of Linslade. The reason I've come here is because I'm going to follow the River Ouzel from here back to its source near my house. So we're going to be walking through a little bit of the vale towards the hills. Normally I'll start at a spring and follow the river downstream. I thought this might be nice the other way around, to be walking towards the hills and have them off in the distance ahead of us all the time. And we're going to finish up at one of the springs, which is one of the sources of the River Ouzel. The official source is on, is it Valence End Farm? No, I think it might be Willow Farm, just outside of Dunstable, before you get to Edlesborough. That is on private land. Can't get in there to see that, but there's another one just outside of Wellhead, near Bellows Mill, and it looks as though we can probably walk all the way up to there, so that's the route we'll take. Right, just quickly then, before we head off, here's Leighton Buzzard, here's Edlesborough. That's basically where we're going to be going, between Leighton Buzzard and Edlesborough. I'm currently at this pub. We're going to cross over the canal and follow the river down towards Edlesborough. We're going to stop off here, which is where the ford is. Really nice down there at the ford. We've been there before very briefly. That's where my nan used to take us to feed the ducks. Very nice place. And then we're going to finish off at, let's see, what was that? That was Bellows Mill, where the ford is. We're going to finish off at Doolittle Mill. Now that's where my dad used to go and smash the windows. Cross over here at the lock. We've got to follow the towpath down a little bit. The river is actually running, it's those trees over there. The river's actually running along the back there. So we need to follow the towpath for a little bit, and then the footpath goes off and we can join the Ouzel. There's an egret there. Am I witnessing a murder? Technically, I think I am. That's a nice looking bridge. I wonder if that's where we turn off to join the Ouzel. Still on the Grand Union Canal here. Yeah, I've just checked the map. Just before that bridge, we have a turn in for the footpath. Now, what does this say? Oh, for Christ's sake. Okay. Got to get over to that stile over there. Where's this beef ball? I think he might not be here today. Okay, here we go. Now that's what I call a hot heap. And here we are, our first little glimpse of the River Ouzel. I have to admit, at this stage it could be mistaken for a farmer's drainage channel. But we are a few miles away from its source at this point. You can probably see it's flowing towards me at the moment, so to get to the source we're headed in that direction. Right, let's see what we can find along this little stretch then. Poo fungus. It's quite an interesting little area of lumps and bumps. Nothing marked on the OS map, but considering it's sat right next to the river here, I don't know how well you can actually see them on the camera. There's a big dugout here, little mounds there. Very interesting. There's been something here at some point, look. Well, this apple tree's not going to be standing for very long, by the looks of it. Doesn't that look good? It looks like this is where the cows like to hang out as well. I don't know if it's particularly sheltered in this little corner. Still producing fruit, look. Where are we? Still getting apples on it. The Downs and the Beacon are off in that direction, and they're just currently obscured by the high ground of Billington and Edlesborough. I've had to come off the path a little bit, fight my way through a load of nettles and brambles and willow. The path just, I've just had to fight my way through that. I'm not actually walking that close to the river. I wish I could get down there, but that's all very, very steep. I'll walk along a bit further. This river Ouzel, which sits just down there, it's a tributary of the Great Ouse. Now I ought to just clarify, this is the River Great Ouse. There are at least 3 River Ouses in England. There's one up in Yorkshire. There's one somewhere down on the South Downs, and then we've got the Great Ouse that runs through Bedfordshire. Don't ask me where it starts, actually. I know it joins the sea on the Norfolk coast, up towards the Wash, that sort of area. Don't actually know where the Great Ouse starts. I'll have to look that up one day. But this little Ouzel flows into the River Ouse. And the name Ouzel is a bit kind of, nobody's really sure. And it doesn't help that the River Ouzel is also known as the River Lovat. L-O-V-A-T. Now I've done a little bit of research. There's no definitive answer as to what Ouzel means. But there is, of course, the Ouzel bird. Well, it's not going to have been named after the Ouzel bird because they don't appear in this part of the country, and they never have. There are little blackbirdy type things with a bit of red on them. And I've got a feeling they're only migratory summer visitors, and only in mountainous regions. Not around here. This is a hilly region. It's by no means a mountainous region. So it's got nothing to do with the Ouzel bird. The only thing I can put it down to, and there's no information on it. I've sort of half deduced that it's kind of just an old form of something that might mean something along the lines of the Ouzelet or the Ouseling, if it were being named today as a tributary of the Great Ouse. You know, you can imagine you might call it the Ouseling or the Ouselet, something like that. So Ouzel, I think it might just be something along those lines. Now as for Lovat, which is what the river used to be called up until I think the 16th century, and there is still one short section by Leighton Buzzard somewhere which is known as the Lovat on some maps. Lovat's another tricky one because it's a colour. It's a greenish greyish colour which is used in tweed, but as far as I can tell it's a Scottish word, so why they would use Lovat to name a river in the south of England if it's a Scottish word for tweed, I don't know. The other possibility is that Lovat is an old Norman word for a wolf cub. Oh, I don't know, seems a bit spurious. I can't really make anything of that, to be honest. I mean, looking in my old place names books, I found that I was trying to find out what ooze means, and it's a familiar, it's a sadly familiar situation. You've got two towns up north somewhere. One's called Ousefleet and one's called Ouseby, and they both mean town by the River Ouse, or, you know, settlement by the River Ouse. Now, I looked up Ouse to see where that might have derived from, and was it Old English or was it even before that? I think it was Old English. And here's the sadly familiar situation. Ouse means water. So, the other week we went to the idiotically named village of Pegsden, which means the valley by the hill, and Knocking Knoll, which means hill. Now we're at the river Ouzel, which flows into the river Ouse. River Ouse means river of water. Bolt. I will start heading out further down these rivers, and particularly where they join the larger rivers, such as whereas the Ouzel joins the Great Ouse, and where the River Ver joins the that whacking great River Colne. But I'm in no hurry. Not until I start running out of ideas. Whilst I've still got plenty of these little fledgling rivers popping out the side of the hills in my immediate area, I'm going to stick with them for now. One thing I noticed about this first section we've looked at, I say first, I don't mean first as in the first part of the river, because we're downstream here, remember, but this first bit we've looked at, it's not a chalk stream. We're only, I don't know, maybe about 6 or 7 miles from the source, but the land here, it's entering into the green sand ridge. So when you look at the bottom of the river, it's not stony and chalky, it's muddy. Why aren't I allowed to carry an air gun when I'm walking? Damn it. Just made a quick stop to get a look at the Ouzel as it passes through Slapton. Well, just to the side of Slapton. One thing I've forgotten to mention is that through this little section, the River Ouzel is the county border between Bedfordshire and Buckinghamshire. The river itself is the border, and it's marked here on this bridge. Beds to the left, Bucks to the right. This bridge was restored in 1881 and reconstructed in 1990. Reconstructed? Well, surely that means they got rid of the old one completely, didn't they? Okay, anyway. Bedfordshire, Buckinghamshire, Bedfordshire, Buckinghamshire. I could do that all day, I'm not going to bother. Now we're talking. Working our way across the vale, back towards the hills. One of the nicest spots in my little bit of the vale, this. You can see all my favourite bits. The River Ouzel's running over the back there through the fields, just through farmers' fields, and it only really resembles drainage ditches through those fields. not much to look at until we get to Edlesborough. But over there is Tottenham Castle. Just round from Tottenham Castle, you can see the remnants of Hunger Hill over there. And then we've got Dunstable Downs. And if I carry on all along the zoo, let's let this big bugger get past, shall we? Oh, you're not going to try and run me over? No, you don't want to come in here. Oh, you do! And there's the beacon. Now here's one of my favourite bits. One of the bits I know really well. This is where it comes through Edlesborough. We used to come here when we were kids and we called it the brook. It was just known as the brook. I never realised it was actually the River Ouzel. Let me show you. Now if we follow this a little bit further upstream, we'll get to where all the mills are. The river widens and narrows quite a few times between here and the springs where it starts. I think that's quite conducive to mills. So if we head off in that direction, we'll find Bellows Mill and Doolittle Mill. You can see we must be getting near to the source now because we're sitting right where the hills end. Look at the size of that crayfish. I think you might have just caught something. That is one big crayfish. And we're at the ford. There's the ford in Edlesborough. Bellows Mill is off through there. It hasn't been a working mill, obviously, in a very long time, but now it's run as like a wedding venue and a party venue and that sort of thing. I get the impression to hold your event in there probably costs a small fortune, but it's a typical bit of mill stream, isn't it? You see, it's really widened out. Loads of watercress. It's a beautiful little spot here, but it's private fishing in there, private fishing and some kind of events venue, you know. Can't actually see the mill, but the next one we're going to is Doolittle Mill. Off up lane is Doolittle Mill. And that is quite an impressive looking building, really nice to look at. That's the one that my dad used to vandalise when he was a kid, for fun. Let's just have a quick look and see if that massive crayfish is still down there. Whee, that's slippy. Where was he? He was just down there, wasn't he? No, he's disappeared now. So there's Doolittle Mill. I'm not going to stand here filming for too long because people actually live here and there's a couple of businesses set up in there as well. But it's unusual in that it was a water mill and also a windmill. The top there had quite a large section taken off of it. The sails blew off in the late 19th century and it damaged the top of the tower, so they reduced it down to the height that you can see now. And somewhere around the back there we should, well, hopefully from the footpath that we're going to follow, we should get a little glimpse of maybe where the wheel used to be. Right, if we follow this footpath, it should take us, I'm hoping, to a spring. Not the one at not Valence End, not the one at Willow Farm. Not the one that's the official source of the River Ouzel, but it is definitely one of the sources of the River Ouzel. I'm getting very close to home now. There's the edge of Hunger Hill, what's left of it. If we go round, not touching the electric fence. There's Pascombe Hill, where they used to do the orange rolling. Unfortunately, any traces we might have been able to see of the water wheel are well hidden away behind that lot. Gliders are out in force today. This is a lovely quiet little part of the river, isn't it? It's only small here. If we follow it up, it should take us to the spring. Quick get well soon message for my nephew Brad. I won't go into details, I don't want to embarrass the poor lad. Hold on, let's just let this cyclist go past, because that is nasty, mate. That is nasty. If you can get through this, you'll get through anything. I too, in my youth, have been the victim of a set of handlebars and an unexpected sudden stop. I didn't have to go to hospital for it. I was lucky. Bloody hell, how old is this willow? Look at the branches coming off of it, and look at the flipping size of this trunk. You could almost live in there, couldn't you? Oh wow, and it's got... What is going on in there? It looks like it's got roots growing out of the inside of the trunk, and then it's got new bits that have grown up through the middle. That's amazing. Right next to the river as well. Can you see the river through the gap? Just about. That is a very old willow. I wouldn't like to hazard a guess. Right, the stream carries on that way. It's well known round here for ducks and plums, because it's also wet. There's so much water coming down off those hills and coming out from under those hills. Good weather for ducks, hence Aylesbury duck. This is the Vale of Aylesbury. And plums. Now I wasn't aware that plums and damsons like wet boggy places. Apparently they do, and it was the one of the big industries round here for a very long time. We must be getting close to that spring now. The spring comes up in a little hamlet called Wellhead. And we're virtually there now. The ground's telling me that we might be just about at the spring now, because I suddenly can't hear flowing water anymore. And that down there has suddenly, just walked past a possible entrance, that bit down there has suddenly really deepened. Can I even get down there? I can see the remains of a bloody barbed wire fence in there, I'm not sure. No, please let me get down there. Yeah, there's barbed wire in that. I can't see the stream. I think we're virtually on top of our spring. Now there's actually houses, big expensive houses on the other side of that. Probably not supposed to be down there. Right, I'm going to have a look. Yeah, I've just made it down from the footpath. Now this is following the route of where I was just following the stream, the river, and there is no river. And we're in a deep old hole. So, hold on, what's going on there? There's no water down there. I'm just going to be really cheeky and have a peep over this fence. See if it's down there. No, there's no water down there, but it looks very soggy. Okay, it's here, it's on private property, unfortunately. Looks like it starts in this fancy looking garden and it heads off down there, so yeah, right, okay, let's nip back out of here. Okay, that's a shame. The spring's on somebody's garden. Well, okay, fair enough. Seems to be a commonly recurring theme, doesn't it? Me going to look for really special, beautiful natural places, only to find that they've become ornaments, really. Ornaments for rich people with big houses, lots of land. Springs were all sacred. Springs were centres of worship and culture and tradition. And I like that. It means that where I live is a very special place because it's covered with them. They're all over the place. This must have been a highly revered landscape. What I wouldn't give to travel back in time and see what this looked like, see what was going on here and what it all actually meant. We'll never know. Right, well, I've been given access to an excess of plums. Somebody up the allotment has got a large plum tree that's covered in them, so I'm going to pop up there next. I'm going to harvest a few bagfuls of plums and I'm going to turn them into wine. Lovely. See you later.